We know that these videos really prey on vulnerable young men who have not had many experiences in dating.
Wrong video. What's going on, guys? Good morning. Hope you enjoy yourself a cuppa this morning. It's officially too warm for sweaters and Henleys, but not warm enough for Hawaiian shirts. So for these kind of days, we have English China. Red morning. What are we talking about here? Look at you guys with all your banter and your jibber jabber. It's going to be a fun one today. I hope you guys are ready for your workouts. I hope you guys are ready for your morning coffees. I don't know what time zone you're in. If you're in Eurostan, you should have had half the day finished already. Maybe you're just hungover after a partying Friday. You went out, you got some, or you got shot down and have a great story to it. Either way. Yeah, red morning. Dude, Carl. I think Carl might be coming back. I have a feeling. We were talking a little bit. He's like... And I was talking about a lot of guys like Royce, Altmate Cad, a lot of guys who like Uncle Vaz. You guys, if you guys don't know these names, these are some fairly underground but pivotal red pill names. Guys who sorted out sexual strategy, and it's great because they came from the realm of, you know, poon aplenty. And a lot of guys, that's your first instinct is like, dude, if you're really successful, you're not on the internet talking about your dick. You're out there crushing it. Because typical of unattractive guys, they think that attractive guys have a certain way of life, and in their head they got it pictured. Like, Chad doesn't do that. Chad just plays lacrosse all day, you know? And I think he put it best. I think it was Cad who put it best, and Royce too, but it's like, dude. Like, Cad was notorious. He was cheating on his wife cheated on him, and that's kind of what red pilled him. But at that point, he just demoted his wife to plate, started screwing everything that could walk. And he goes, do you think I can brag about this stuff with my friends and family? Do you think I can go to work and tell the story about the girl I laid last night and how I went home to my wife? He's like, no. Unfortunately for me, you nerds on the internet and your stupid He-Man Woman Haters Club is the only place that I get to brag about the cool stuff I've done. And so unfortunately, you're stuck with a guy who knows what he's doing, telling you what to do. I just love that one because it's funny. It's guys' spaces are so few and far between that in order to be a true guy in a guy space, you have to come to the most unattractive place on earth, the fucking manosphere. Dexter Barnes, $5 super chat. Here, I need to get. There she is. Let's get these things up. I'm going to address this super chat because it's very important and vital you guys see this. There we go. Dexter Barnes, $5 US super chat. Thank you, sir. Bought the book. Damn good book. Thank you. I know we shouldn't talk about Fight Club, but I tagged you on Instagram. Not too good not to. Dude, I know I tell you guys not to try and red pill your friends, but if you want to help me by social media post of anything to do with what we do here, in a positive way, or even a negative way, I would be more than happy to break the rule for you. I think you're worth it. Anyways, thank you, Dexter. Okay, so the plan on this one, we got some introductions, and that's going to be the general banter and the stuff that everybody's thinking is like, oh my god, the Coach Red Pill. And then I'm going to tell you some stories. I'm going to talk to you about Dirty Joe. And Dirty Joe, it's, you know what, it's too hard to sum it up. I'll just start telling you. There's gonna be some Navy stories about some of the guys I've been with. So when everybody wonders, like, how come you don't think the thought apocalypse is so bad? It's like, dude, I was at the front lines. Don't worry about it. And then following up with ignore what we say, watch what we do. How guys are absolutely as bad, if not worse, than women. The only difference is nobody is going to coddle us for our failures, and so we end up sulking. Women aren't people. That's going to be fun. Oh, that's going to ruffle some feathers. Luckily, I've buried it in there so far and nobody will even know. Maybe I'll make some clips about it. YouTube Shorts are the biggest thing now. Can you help a guy's sexual strategy in 15 seconds? And go. And then what do you want, really? It's a $5 super chat. Watch out, coach. Watch out, couch. Yeah. Oh, no, Dirty Joe is so much better than that, Billy. Ah, dude, was in Coachella, too. I didn't know Coachella was still a thing, because that was like a big deal in the 90s. And then I guess it's still around. Fair enough. Okay, So let's get this stuff out of the way. What is it with the sphere of men online where there has to be an arrest, a kidnapping, a murder, a suicide, or a death every month, or else we lose relevancy? And the newest thing on the news, Coach Red Pill, was it Lyra Gonzalez, in the Ukraine, talking all kinds of trash about the Ukraine and how great Russia is. Never mind, I'm not too proud to admit I'm still old school enough to remember that all of my military training was designed to sink Russians. So I haven't quite let go yet. Not quite ready to start saying, well, Trudeau likes Ukraine, so I better like Russia. I'm like, nah, I just don't like any of them. Anyway, so he put out some feelers like, hey, just so you know, if it's been a day and I haven't responded, then call the president. And you're like, oh, wow, I remember that line from Big Trouble in Little China. It was pretty slick. Anyways, goes missing for about a week and then gets on a podcast a week later to start saying everybody. And then somebody put out a screenshot of a picture saying, presumed executed by what they called Azovs, who are the Ukrainian Nazi types there. The Ukrainian painters, the Ukrainian painters from the 1940s. I don't even remember. And then everybody ran with it. And my first thought on it was just, I don't really care for his content from because he calls himself Coach Red Pill, which sucks because in the Red Pill circles, he's kind of been known for a while as a guy who just steals everybody's stuff, which is fine. Like it's nobody's ownership. You can take ideas and run with them. But the fact that he exemplified the exact kind of thing that everybody wants to avoid. And I'll tell you a little story about this one. There's like hit pieces out on a lot of, I hate to use the term, influential red-pilled content creators. Roosh is a good example, and another one is the username went by PK Atheist, also known as Robert Fisher. He's the guy who created the red-pilled subreddit. He was a ombudsman in New England or something like that, something Republican during the Trump era. Anyways, Daily Beast did hit pizzas on both of them. And here's how it worked. And you guys should probably know this MO by now. With Roosh, they wrote a whole bunch of things saying he was evil and an ass and whatever, and everybody's like used to that. But they grabbed a picture of him in his parents' place wearing his pajamas with food stains on him. And I'm like, that was just evil. And then with Robert Fisher, all they did was point to they just showed how he was fat. I guess, I don't know, I've talked to him before and he was like, yeah, it's like the stress of running a campaign and that, gained a bunch of weight, a bunch of those photos out like that. And so they went, so generally speaking, if you're going to get attacked as a man in any type of social media environment, the first thing they're going to do is like call you an incel and show that you're unattractive. So when you see guys like Coach Red Pill, I don't know if he's ever lifted. He looks to me like, no offense, a stick of melted butter. Stick of melted butter growing some fuzzies on the end there. Now, I'm not saying as a person, I've heard nothing but like kind things. Everybody who's talked to him says he's a nice, likable person. I'd love to have a beer with him. Absolutely. But as a brand, that's a horrible look. I'm not saying you have to have a six-pack and 6 feet tall, but at least look like you walk the walk. So content-wise, not a fan of it. Here's the thing, though. I'm like, hate his content. Really hope nothing bad's happened to him. And it was amazing. All of a sudden, out of the woodwork, everybody's cheering it on like it's watching a execution on the public square. And I was like, that's crazy. That's crazy. So out there, I'm kind of like, I'm kind of taking his side. But then I realized, and I think Hotep, somebody brought it to my attention that Hotep Jesus was bringing this up. He's like, that's a grift. Guaranteed. He's done this to build up some attention. And I was kind of like, yeah, I could see that, but I'll reserve judgment. Of course, I'm like the only guy who reserved judgment. Everybody else was like, Coach Red Pill dead. Coach Red Pill dead. Watch my channel. Like and subscribe. I was like, holy jeez. You vultures, man. The body's not even cold yet. Anywho. So now a bunch of people know who he is, and here's what got me. Somebody threw it at me. He's like, dude, he's alive. And they threw a link to a YouTube channel from some guy. I tweeted the link to it. I can't remember what the name of the channel is. Some nobody. Well, I mean, he's huge compared to me, but nobody in my eyes. Which, take that for what it's worth. And then, I'm watching. It's a 4-minute clip where they start the live stream, and he's like, oh, that's weird. Nobody's watching. And I thought, you're going to start it, and I've done that too, where you start a live stream mid-conversation to kind of feel like guys are catching in the middle of a thing that's carrying on, but the fact that was the first thing they thought to say on the camera, it's kind of telling. It's not, hey, glad you're okay, appreciate you being here. Guys, I got a special surprise for you. Somebody's back from the dead. All this stuff. Yeah, I had the Coach Red Pill funeral stream planned. Exactly. And it's gonna be an interesting thing from a media perspective. So you're gonna watch all these alternative media sources, right? Everybody you think of that's been commenting on this and making videos on it. And yeah, I'm commenting on it now, but I'm commenting more on the meta. So I'm exempt from my own shame and attacks right now. Do you think anybody's going to make any effort to change how they create content, realizing they got a big thing wrong here? They declared a man dead when he wasn't dead. Yeah, they prefaced it with, well, we need to confirm this. It's like, well, why don't you confirm it before you open your fucking mouth? It's because you have to be first. You don't have to be right in the age of the information age. You have to be first. Being right is irrelevant. And the worst part is that nobody cares. That's what gets me. So you watch, I don't know, name some content creators that did things on them. I don't even know. I never really kind of watched any of this, but you're going to see people not skip a beat, and the content creators are going to suffer nothing. Like, they're not going to lose any subscribers. If anything, I have a feeling Mr. Coach Red Pill is going to get more subscribers because people are like, whether they like it or hate it, they at least know who he is and they didn't know before. Oh, Rich. Dang it. Well, yeah, grift is the grift. I guess I can't be too hard on him. He's got like win at all cost attitude, so I mean, fair enough. Yeah. And it kind of gets me because I'm like looking at this and I see, like, obviously you see the Rule Zero guys. I mean, Rolo's blown past me and Rich has always been bigger, so that's great. And, like, everybody's doing really well and doing their thing and they're getting into this grift, and I'm happy for them, good for them. But like, I've made decisions. This is why you guys are here, and this is why I am preaching to you about the anti-grift. Because I'm like, you know what, there's costs. How big do you need to be? I don't need to do a thing where I buy supercars. I don't need to buy a brand new studio that's like a $500,000 mortgage. I don't need that stuff. I just need a microphone that's good quality, a good piece of editing software, a speed editor, a mouse, a couple monitors, and stick to the purpose of that I'm here. Oh my God, sexual strategy, mostly within relationships, a little bit of game thrown in. Who'd have thunk? After what has it been? How long have we been here, guys? 3 years? 3 years. We're still talking about the same thing because there's so much to talk about. It's not a wide pit, but the shit runs deep. Well, no. Okay, so here, Torsha's got a good point. She's like, I thought grift was when you're selling anything. I guess I've said this before, but I'll explain to you guys what a grift is, like, clinically. The word grift came from a graft. If you guys don't know what a graft is a measurement of the amount of soil that a shovel can move. So bigger shovels, more graft, smaller shovels, less graft. It ended up becoming a political term to talk about people like pork belly spending, running a scam. A lot of people would say that the Pfizer and J&J Moderna vaccines for COVID was essentially a graft. Hundreds of billions of dollars, a huge machine, just shoveling as much shit as you can, right? So then what happened is a lot of people were selling snake oil at the time. You go from town to town, promise that your absinthe tonic will cure everything, and then before people start realizing you're actually killing them with your asbestos poison, they move on to the next town. And it was lazy, and it was cheap, and it was quick, and it was just like a quick buck, like a hustle. And so you take the word graft, and they're like, well, let's make a mini graft. Let's call it a grift. So that's what a grift is. It is a graft, a way of bilking large amounts of money with a big ostentatious plan, but it does it in the laziest and least effortful way possible for small hits. It's literally the hustle. So a lot of people say everything is a grift, and that as soon as you start selling, and that's just bad nomenclature. A grift, by definition, has to be something that doesn't benefit the person that takes it. So now, granted, the Easter coming back from the dead, Coach Red Pill, which, by the way, you are right on the timing on that. I would argue that's a graft, because all he did was go offline for 5 days. Now, I don't know. Maybe he did get arrested by Ukrainian police and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I don't really care. Yeah, I didn't think snake oil existed until it was a way to kill. Damn, flip my brain. Yep. Your Mensa Minute, brought to you by Ryan. Oh, thank you, sir. Oh, exactly, like the episode of The Simpsons. The monorail episode, total graft. But it was presented as if it was a grift. if that makes sense. Because the monorail is kind of a big deal, took a lot of effort, but yeah. Anywho, so that's on that one. And yeah, it's just one of those things where I realize. So on the channel, I got something fun. I talked to, Carl might be coming back, and if so, he'll probably be back here, which would be great because I love our little chit chats. It'll be a nice opportunity to get us to catch up. Well, scam is, con, scam, grift. They're all kind of like a very gray area, right? Dr. David Lay. If you guys haven't heard about him, he is a shrink, but like one of the good ones, one of the masculine shrinks that don't do the APA thing. But it's interesting in that there's a certain collection of psychiatrists and psychologists who they're kind of going through what a lot of us military guys were going through in the 2000s and 2010s, where you kind of realize your system stinks and what you are sold on when you join the system is not what's being delivered. And then there's no repercussions to people screwing things up. Careerism is run rampant. And so he's like rather honest about things that you wouldn't expect from people inside of the kayfabe known as psychotherapy. So it'll be good. It's the big things we share in common are his disdain for guys doing the semen retention, porn is the villain thing. I'm just like, dude, it's a symptom. It's guys that get caught jerking off that try to tell their wives about porn addictions. That's why it exists. It exists because guys can't stand up to their frigid wives. And he's a fan of that too. He's like, yeah, I don't get it. I don't like it. And it's really causing harm because everybody's like faking a situation. It's like gluten intolerance for men, for sexless men. And then another thing when it has to do with like the right-wing grift, it's always about, diddlers, right? Pedos and shit like that. And I don't know, my only thought on it, and I think that's his too, is like, I don't like thought crimes. Like, you have to do something to be considered a crime, but I just don't like, in general principle, people being arrested for thinking. But hey, whatever. That's a boat I don't want to... We're going to kind of avoid that topic specifically, though, because no good comes of it. No good comes of it. Oh, and then last announcement before we get over the introductions. We have a contest on the second server. The digital Ryan, the gaming one, the fun one. So we had like an airship contest, Minecraft World, pretty fun. A lot of guys built some cool things. This one guy, Vince, I think he might even be in the chat here, built something called the Manosphere. Absolutely funny. The boxing ring that was empty because nobody ever follows through on their threats to fight each other in the Manosphere. It was full of a lot of inside jokes. It was pretty good. So we sent some merch to him and merch to the guy that won the contest. It's pretty fun. The part that matters for you guys though is that I am retiring this season's merch. So Don't Eat Paint, Good for Men, Bad for Education is going to be gone. The T-Rex Army stuff is going to be gone. It's not coming back. I'm not doing this as some grifty thing because we're going to have to come up with all kinds of new stuff. So I don't know when, I don't know where. Here's the point. The merch is going on sale, 15%. Basically, I'm like removing my profit from it. So they're just at cost. And use code. There it is. T-Rex Final. Oops. Nope. T-Rex Final. At store.ryanstone.com if you want to get yours, if you've been on the fence. It's on till the end of the month. Take your time. If you like it, it's there. If you don't, whatever. I think that should be good for this. Let's talk Dirty Joe. Yeah, about 19 minutes. All right. How's everybody doing, by the way? I suppose I should fluff the audience a little bit. How you guys all doing? Actually, you know what? Since we're doing all these advertisements anyway, we might as well go whole hog.
Charles Bukowski, Jordan Peterson, Neil Strauss. I like these guys. Add some salt to cover up the bitterness of middle-aged soccer moms and put in the oven for 45 minutes. Optionally, you can take from all this stuff what you want and leave the rest. So enjoy Fuck Files. 15 lessons from a decade of women, now on audio.
Is it funny that the only reason I bought 12 Rules for Life was just for that bit? I've never read the thing. I opened it to a random page and saw the thing and I started reading it and I'm like, oh, this is just a Naval tweet extended. Big fan of Peterson's clinical psychology stuff. Not a big fan of the maps of meaning stuff, but yeah. Cable Summers, Ryan, why haven't you been participating in Rule Zero lately? Well, the reason I haven't been participating is not for any like reasons other than I've been busy. The last couple weeks, I've either been sick as a dog, and you've probably seen it. Like even when I do the Red Mornings, like the one I pre-recorded, I'm so thankful for that because I was on my ass. So that saved my butt, or just extremely busy. So yeah, it's just one of those things, which is kind of one of the reasons we wanted a lot of guys on there. Yeah, there's no real reason other than that. As far as the hosting, I think we're skipping today as well. I was supposed to host, but again, as soon as I'm done with this thing, I got to run off. So I'm not going to be able to do it. And it looks like the other guys that would probably host, they've also got engagements. So it's going to be one of those days where the stars don't quite align, but that's fine. Don't forget to tell Cappy he's a mean disco honky. Dude, it's on the list. Next time I see him, don't worry about it. I'm fed up of seeing videos of Jordan Peterson crying. Yeah, everybody loves to see crying. Why are the books in the oven? Shut up, oven. Okay, Dirty Joe. What the hell is Dirty Joe and what are you talking about? This is a sailor story for you. The fun thing about the military when you join, or the Navy especially, I think, because it's a more close-knit community because you're attached to a ship and the ship or people are there and you sleep next to the people, you eat with the people, you work with the people. You get into a fist fight with a guy and then you realize you have to go have coffee together right afterwards, so you get over shit really quick. This guy's name was Joe. I'm not going to give you his last name. I don't want to out the guy because I kind of got like a little bit of pity for him. But Dirty Joe. He looked like if Telly Savalas had sex with a California raisin. A very small, frail, bald man. Smoked like a chimney. He had that raspy, like, I'm Batman. And that was his voice, right? And he came from Ontario, and he used to tell these stories about his time working in the candy factory. And I was like, what the hell, a candy factory? It sounds like he was working for Willy Wonka, but in reality, it's just like any other factory, right? And he'd be out in the smoking pit, which is the port breezeway. I'd often be out there just for fresh air because the communications control room, which is right beside it, is a stuffy place with giant chillers, and your ears ring because they got tinnitus. And he'd sit there telling the story about his old lady. And it sounded like a pretty rednecky trailer park kind of life, right? It sounds like your Norm Macdonald comedy hour. Yeah, so he's like, yeah, my old lady, I think she was cheating on me, and I was working at the candy factory at the time. And then one day I had a plan. I talked to my boss. I'm like, I think my old lady's cheating on me. He goes, oh, that sucks, bro. We're having a couple drinks, smoking a joint, and then I decided, I'm like, here, can I have the day off? Because I want to go and check on my old lady. I think she's cheating on me. He's like, yeah, man, you do what you got to do. Like, we'll dock your wages, but we'll figure it out. And she's like, oh, I go to work, and then I wait outside for like an hour, and then I go and I sneak up the fire escape, and then I go and I look in my window, and I see some dude plowing my old lady. And so I start banging on the window to get in there, and he crashes through his window. He ends up cutting the shit out of himself. And then the guy gets up, buck naked, sees a dude smash into the window, beats the crap out of Joe in front of his wife. Joe gets arrested in his own house for getting assaulted by the guy plowing his wife. And here's the part that I laugh. I'm like, why would you tell me this story? My buddy and I were looking at, why would you say this story? He goes, oh, it's funny, whatever. So it's like, so when I hear stories about guys in the sphere that tell their Batman origin stories of how they got here and how bad things can get, and everybody's like, dude, there's no way that happened. I'm like, it could have happened. Like the stuff that you hear and the stuff that you pick up just by being around a microcosm of the entire country, and that's pretty much what the military is. Everybody from every walk of life in Canada is all put into the same room, and you get to learn a lot about people as a whole. So when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, yeah, I get it. I have a feeling that would have happened. Because, like, nobody tells this story. That wasn't a bragging story. That wasn't his story for clout. It's not like, dude, we got to invite him over to the next dinner party. Like, no. That's the story. You're like, what in the hell? Anyways, this stuff kind of influenced him. Because, typical, there's no secrets in the Navy. One day, we were sitting out there in a sail, like a TJEC or something like that. That's like a 3-month sail. You just sit out there for 3 months. You play with the 7th Fleet. You pretend to sink them because they don't have any submarine defense amongst the 7th Fleet. They assume the aircraft carrier is unstoppable. But then they forget that big boat, you just put a hole in the bottom and it's done for. So you pull into San Diego. You put a broomstick up top of your flag hoist. They call it a clean sweep, which means you killed all of them. Canada's got some neat techniques, by the way, for submarine hunting. Most people try to be ultra quiet so the subs can't hear you. We go the other route. We have a banyan on top, which is like a party. And then we do up all the lights. We actually set up lights to make us look like fishing boats. So everybody goes and just ignores the ship. They're like, it's just a fishing trolley. Come on, we got to find the warship. And then, bam, throw a torpedo out there. Mike, Mike, Mike. Tango, tango, tango. Golf, golf, golf. And then it's like how 6-year-olds play war, where you when you're shouting this stuff over the mic, it's your way of saying you're attacking with guns, missiles, or torpedoes, right? Golf, golf, golf. Tango, tango, tango. Mike, Mike, Mike. The other side is supposed to acknowledge that and then attribute as a hit. Whoever strikes first. Americans never responded, so it's always like a 6-year-old going, no, I hit you first. No, you didn't. I hit you. And we're like, all right, whatever. Grab the broomstick, have some fun in San Diego. Luckily, we're not the East Coast. We don't fight the guys on the other side. We just poke fun at them for getting sunk by some goofy ship built in the 70s. Anywho, so secret came out when we were in San Diego about Joe as an author. We're like, oh, he's an author, eh? And somebody managed to find a copy of his book. I don't know where it is. I don't know when it is. I haven't looked for it since. The funniest part is he was like the typical guy you would think of that lives in the city. Like cargo pants, cargo shorts, always had like a fedora or a cowboy hat with the one side canted up, camouflage shirts, that kind of guy. And then you look at his dust jacket. It's him in like a fancy Stetson and a bow and a shoestring bow tie. And we're like, what in the hell is this? Had a nice goatee. And like, what is the book about? And it's like, oh, it's like 50 Shades of Grey with like broken glass. It's like the movie Crash. We're like, what in the hell is going on in this man's deranged mind? So we stopped poking fun at him because we realized the kind of stuff he thinks about. And we're like, holy crap. Now I'm laying this groundwork out for this story, which is the whole point of this section, which is something I want you guys to take away from this. So listen very closely. So you got Joe, not attractive, very unattractive. Wife's cheating on him, gets beat up, as downtrodden as a MGTOW as you could find. Still the most positive guy. Inside of his brain is all kinds of horrors that you never knew. Oh, shut up, Marty. At the end of this, we ended up having some ship parties. We have every now and then we'll have parties. We'll invite civilians over, that kind of thing. And we were having like a drink thing. And there was this one chick, Amanda, I think Amanda or Amber. It's weird. You can never remember somebody's first name. I can always remember last names, but I'm not using the last names here. I don't want to dox anybody. So he ended up in the rope stores fooling around with her, plowed her in there. And it was the weirdest thing because she was a pretty girl. She was young. She was pretty. She had that innocent look about her. But it was like, normally when your buddy sleeps with a girl that's well out of his league, you high five him. You're like, yeah, we're awesome, man. You nailed it. You nailed it. And then when he would tell the story about this, we always just everybody always had the same reaction. It's like, oh, really? Oh, she had let us down. So here's the point of the story. First off, rope stores smells like diesel, and it's literally full of like polyprop lines. I don't remember what the polyprop stands for. It's like polyester, big, huge lines. All the things you think of like towing and all that stuff, right? Don't know how it happened. Never saw him running game, but he still managed to get in there. The chick was probably 12 years younger than him. Fairly pretty girl. The only thing you could say about her that you probably wouldn't like is she had a pixie cut. That and she was in the Navy. I don't like sleeping with Navy girls. I think 3 in my lifetime, but it's not worth it. Anywho, if he can do it, you can do it. I want you guys to understand that. If he can do it, you can do it. Thank you, polypropylene. Of course, she wasn't as innocent as I play it out because she also used to date, before then, a guy I used to sail with who got picked up on pedo charges for having contraband aboard a ship during a deployment. Absolutely annoying thing. And then he had a bit of a cocaine problem too. So she just had a thing for bad boys, and it just so happened that the ship was full of bad boys. It's kind of crazy when you think about it, how many people were on nose candy. I'll end up with this one, so it's funny. The military had this thing where they wanted to see how much drugs were going through the Canadian forces, right? And they thought it'd be like, whatever, like 5%, something like that. And they did the study. And the initial studies, it was just random drug testing, completely anonymous, so people weren't going to try and skew the numbers. They just wanted an accurate gauge. So they hit about like 15%. And they're like, oh. So then they kiboshed the study as soon as it started showing up how many people in the military were on drugs. Fun things it noticed, though, was it really depended what element you were in and what drugs you were on. It turns out nose candy, huge among the army, especially Petawawa, which is like Manitoba, which makes sense because there's nothing to do in Manitoba. Nothing. So you might as well have some fun. And weed was huge on the West Coast, and the Navy especially. Alcoholism was especially across everything. And I do believe, what was the Air Force? The Air Force was something weird. It was like pills or something like speed. That's the one. Anyways, so that has nothing to do with anything. That's just me telling the story because we might as well tell it a bit edgy. So I always laugh. And this is going to come back to Tate thing, where they're all talking about, yeah, they're alcoholics. Yeah, a lot of that. Well, ketamine wasn't a thing back then, right? This was back, like, just as the opioid epidemic was coming. Like, everybody kind of knew, I don't want any oxy when I have pain when you went to the MIR, but you didn't have, like, the science to back it. People just knew. They were hearing stories about oxy, and they're like, I don't want anywhere near that. And that's about as far as we got in. Now, if you heard of the HBO show called The Brink, and an interesting commentary on drugs in the Navy, I'll bet it did. But like I said, it's one of those ones that I've heard so many stories, like not many things surprise me anymore. Having said that, all of these dirtbags, functional, well-performing, I'd sail with them any day. So really, it was just a matter of policy, not a matter of... and there was a lot of bags of shit and shit hammers that we ended up working with that weren't on anything. So if anything, I'm almost thinking they need to have more. Kind of like how those the German painters in the 40s were giving everybody speed. I'm like, I get it. I get it. You can take a not useful guy and make him pretty useful. But again, I was one of those guys. My stepdad was into all that stuff. I rebelled against the family. I went to college and mostly stayed clean. Dad died of cancer from the lungs, so I didn't smoke really either. I'm the Charlie Church. The Charlie Church in the middle of horrible stuff. I will say this though. So that's my theory with Dirty Joe. How he managed to get Amanda or Amber. I think Amanda. Pretty sure it had something to do with nose candy, which would make sense why you would go into rope stores, because that's a very hidden compartment. There's no cameras. It's essentially just a storage area. Can I prove it? No. Does it matter? No. If he can do it though, why can't you? That's something else they don't tell you on game things too. It's like everybody's like, yeah, you work out, self-improvement, get good game, string a sentence together, look like good style, and that stuff's all true. It all works. It all increases your chances of being attractive to at least one person who will probably let you have sex with them. I will say this though. If you're a low-level dealer, you don't need to do any of that stuff. But that's illegal. So you gotta play your choices. Again, it's one of those things I've been telling you guys since the start. Too much alpha will end up either killing you or put you in prison. If you don't believe me, think about some certain champion kickboxing twins, who all refer to as one person anyway, getting arrested on kidnapping charges. Is that a grift? Did that really happen? I don't know. I don't care. But it's somebody who's decided to make his brand based on making fun of my brand, so fuck them. But it's weird. And I think it's not so much the drugs themselves. Like, partially, yes, because it gets emotions going high, right? So it achieves the same function. A lot of it is just the bad boy aspect, like the lack of fear. And I don't think people understand the mechanism that does this. And it's something, again, I don't have a lot of field reports to prove this by. This is the Ryan Stone theory of the wins. By you willing to risk all these things for these things, it looks like a superpower to girls, because girls are neurotic as fuck. You think, oh, well, I'm a nervous mess. No, you're not. It's not even close. Saying guys are just as neurotic as women is like saying women are just as horny as men. It's not even close. Women are just as horny as men. What are you talking about? Oh, really? So who buys all the male sex dolls? I'll wait. Look it up. Exactly. So they have neuroticism to whatever the neurotic version of a sex doll is towards guys who are like, what are you talking about? You can just go 2 weeks without being neurotic. Yeah, even when you get it from somebody else, your 2 out of 10 neuroticism is a girl's 8 out of 10 anxiety-inducing event. So when you see a guy who's acting in a way that neurotic, anxious, anxiety-ridden attitude could not possibly function in, it's seen as a superpower and super attractive. It's like when you see a guy with or girl with gigantic guns. You're like, wow, I could never grow tits like that. I mean, you could, but not as nice. You probably see that and you're like, that's wonderful. Wonderful. Bless them hoes. All right, I'm done. So yeah, that's the Dirty Joe story. I figure you guys would enjoy it. All right, what are we on? All right, we good. So I got 5 minutes for the next section here. So I'm ahead of schedule here. So we can bants and banter among us in the chat. Yeah, high neuroticism from my mom. To be fair, Billy, it's where most guys get it from. It's the helicopter mom control freak thing, right? Because mom has always had a need to like overprotect and be overbearing, and they do a lot of pigeon dancing. That's a B.F. Skinner experiment where they find if they have an event happen at random intervals, the person that it's happening to will tend to build up their own rituals and patterns, thinking that it can affect the outcome even if it doesn't. And just by pure luck, sometimes something will coincide with the random event more than once, and then it solidifies as a routine in their head. Wando, €2 super chat. Remember, kids, don't sprinkle too much alpha. Dude, I got to rewrite that essay. It was so much fun. Just like that, don't sprinkle a little alpha on all your problems. And like, yeah, just be more attractive. That'll get you through the divorce setting. Just be a little more attractive. That'll get you through the mugging. It's like, yeah, it's you are very smart. You must be guarded. Oh yes, absolutely. Chesty's nailed it. But here's the thing, right? So as a kid, if you're afraid of the stove because you're following your mom's example, right? She's like, don't touch that. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. It's always about control. And to them, that's like projected neuroticism. Because if you don't know this, I'm sure anybody here who's got any experience with women knows that they are, generally speaking, a massive control freak. They have to be in control of everything all the time. And it's not because they're power hungry. It's not because of any of the stupid reasons that we think of as guys. The real reason is because they're anxious. And this is a way of them seeking comfort for their anxiety. You may have heard of this before. They actually have a term in the Red Pill. It's called a comfort test. Comfort test is a girl's way of staving off anxiety. That's why a lot of comfort tests you may not understand is like, if a girl's trying to control you, a lot of guys mistake those for fitness tests or shit tests, as they call them in the Red Pill parlance. Gotta Americanize it. And they think, oh, that's just her being a shit test. And then they respond with cocky, funny, whatever. And the girl kind of responds like completely freaking out. And you're like, then the guy will come back to whatever, private community or war room he's in. He's like, I don't get it. I passed the shit test and she's just freaking the fuck out. Maybe I did too much alpha. Maybe I need to buy her flowers. And everybody's like, calm down, dude. You just mistook a test. Yeah, if she's trying to be a control freak right now, it's usually because she's anxious about something. And sometimes just a simple, like, relax, I got it, chill the fuck out is good enough. Sometimes it's not, but I mean, we're not going to get into all the woulda, coulda, shouldas. The point is understanding the phenomenon, understanding for the most part how you deal with it, and then you should have an infinite variety of options to handle any situation that comes up because you have built what they call an internal frame or a mental point of origin. Dexter Barnes on neuroticism. My ex would freak out whenever I'd stonewall from a fight. Sometimes it would result in her trying to fight me, but really good lay after. Oh, dude. JD, I see yours, but I'll get to it in a second. Yes, so there's two things from this too. So we've talked more about the three dysfunctional relationship archetypes, and this is frankly in number 2, where it's the captain and his constantly complaining passenger. It's based on the captain and first officer model of relationships, which is, again, it's controversial, but it's the one that seems to have the most traction so far, for better or worse. And yeah, it's because guys will notice, like, yeah, even though your relationship is kind of a pain in the ass, it's not like you got a frigid wife or anything. It just so happens that every time you have sex, it has to be after a giant argument or something like that. And for a lot of guys, they're like, this is just tiring. I can't take it anymore. And yeah, pickup guys even knew this back in the day, that desire comes at the tail end of anxiety. It doesn't have to be a positive emotion. It doesn't have to be a negative emotion, just a strong emotion. Now, this is a reactive thing, and Dexter absolutely nailed it. If your girl freaks out whenever she freaks out at whatever external or internal stimuli that she's running off of, yes, you can deal with those things as they come up. You can handle the emotions. Great sex all the time. Wonderful. But being reactive, you're always on the back foot. You're always having to react to a girl. And that's, again, Guys with no frame and things they do always react. And that's the worst part, is because those guys will think, oh, dude, I'm the man. I nailed it. And it's like, no, you didn't. You're just very good at putting out fires. But if you really want to do it well, hold up a sec. I just realized I'm clipping a little bit. There we go. If you really want to do it well, you got to be more proactive on it. And this is where I've come up with the manufactured outrage. Well, I mean, I didn't invent the damn thing. It's been happening before, but I threw a catchy term around it and started blabbing about it on the internet. So I'm taking credit. Damn it. Manufactured outrage. His ex would freak out every time he'd stonewall from a fight. And it resulted in her trying to fight him, but really good lay after. Sure. So, like, what can you do with this situation? Well, start a fight over nothing. The dishes were put on the thing the wrong way. The can opener's in the sink. Some fight that's inconsequential, you don't care about, but you play the part well. You're doing the hacksaw Jim Duggan, you're yelling ho and swinging your 2x4 around, and she's freaking out, and then you stonewall from the fight, and then great sex afterwards. But then you just drop it. You're like, what about the can opener? You're like, I don't care about that, whatever. And if you do this on, like, let's say your girl freaks out, like every month she has probably like 2 major blowouts like this. So 3 times a month you have these little like manufactured outrage fights, and it kind of gets a proactive stance on it. Now, if you're one of those guys that has this hyper emotional woman, it could be a good thing. Not only are you dealing with her emotions proactively as like a leader would, and not reactively like, you know, the alpha chads do, but you're also increasing your sex life, and it's a great game. You don't have to do tips and tricks and all that stuff. You just pick a fight and end the fight. Great. Two wins. I get less anxiety. He gets blown on Wednesdays. Absolutely wonderful. Okay, so moving on. JD, £5 super chat. I am the only man in a junior team where all people have director, manager, or head of in their titles. For the love of God, save me. Oh, you poor bastard. Dude, some of the ways I've heard like corporate titling work is just strange. Like, it's people in corporate offices have realized what like subreddits realized about the same time, I think, is that if you flare somebody, they'll let that power go straight to their head, but it's also a bargaining chip. Like, we learned that right quick. As soon as you give a guy in the red pill or the married red pill an approved flare, they start acting like, dude, I'm the alphaest Chad that ever alphaed. You don't know who the fuck I am? We're like, no, it's the internet. Nobody knows who the fuck you are. Maybe you need to calm the fuck down. Same thing here. I've seen it in companies that I've worked with, companies my girls work with, companies my buddies work with. Tell us stories about this where somebody would basically be like an analyst, systems analyst, business analyst, whatever. Analyst is like the lowest position in the rung, by the way. I think. It's been a while. Everybody can kind of rename it. But they're like, okay, we're going to change you from analyst to senior analyst. Now, what does that actually mean on paper? You don't get paid more. And as far as like going to another job, they still see it as an analyst role, but you got more responsibility. And a cooler business card. So a lot of guys would take this. Yeah, I'll be the senior analyst. That's awesome. Meanwhile, so there's smarter people who are like, no, I'll keep the analyst thing. Let's add $5,000 to the salary because I just basically doubled you guys' revenue for the month or something like that, right? Those are the smart guys. And yeah, director, manager, and sometimes it matters whether manager's at the beginning of the title or if it's at the end. So if you're the manager of operations or the operations manager, one is better than the other, but neither one really count. They're all the same, but one has a ton more responsibility, but they're both paid the same. Maybe this one's a little bit less. It's such a weird little dance, and it's just one of those things I remember. And same thing as like everything. Like, there's assholes out there who I'm a YouTuber content creator in the red pilled space, or I'm in the manosphere thing, and we're part of a community. And it's like, get over yourself, dude. Even the biggest of us are like 200,000 subscribers. Do you guys know there is channels out there with 200,000 subscribers that all they do is play with like model trains all day? And you're going to sit here flexing on people with that? It's like, come on, dude. The guy's just in his basement playing with model trains. He's just as popular as you. And you're sitting here talking like you need an invitation to the fucking Oscars? Like, get over it. But yeah, JD, so that sucks because you're going to have a lot of that crap to deal with. Like, what's the old joke? What's the minimum amount of power you need to let it go straight to your head? Well, JD's going to find out. It's actually when you say head of. Wando, another €2 super chat. Thank you very much, sir. How much alpha would Ryan sprinkle? I'll sprinkle just enough. Just enough. You gotta be a scalpel, not a cleaver. And then Asan Haji Muhammad. I always screw that up, dude. I've had to say it like 15 times and I always screwed up. €5 super chat. Thank you, sir. Are the Tate brothers bad models? I mean, they are objectively high value, maybe too much of naturals to give advice for the average man. Well, I would argue there are no good. I'm assuming you mean role models. And there's no such thing as a good role model. I'd argue that any guy who has a role model is a fucking idiot or is under the age of 13. Which sucks because there's a lot of like 35-year-old men cheering them on as like role models. And I'm going, why? And you can't, and which is fine if you're part of like MGTOW or, you know, all the other stuff. But if you're going to start talking about red pill stuff and you're talking about role models, it's like, fuck out of here. You completely missed the point. Like, what do you think mental point of origin means? Like, what do you think that means? Well, mental point of origin, but I look up to the Tates. It's like, well, that's not really a mental point of origin. The term they use on that is living in somebody else's frame. Codependent, parasocial relationships, pick your poison. Now, if you see them as, I'm not even sure how I would word it from a mental point of origin, but like, would you consider it a good template for another guy to aspire to? I would argue no. Unless your goal in life is to own a nice car and play chess. Because what are you going to do? Like, what do they brag about? They brag about being tall and in shape and bitches and money, right? Everybody can make money. I mean, sure, if I would rather not be on Interpol's watch list making money, but it's up to you. How do you just want to have the money, or do you want to have it in a sustainable way that you can carry over? Like, I would be, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn here, but like, size, sociopathy, and tall, big fucking deal. Chesty put it in a good way. Him, Wine More Please, all these guys are like, a lot of these Anon guys, just as much net worth, but they've never felt the need to flex it. It's not a lot. Like, if you spend, if you rent a house and you buy your car, like police auctions and shit like that, and all of your money is disposable income because you're not paying taxes because it's all under the table, it's amazing how inflated you can make your lifestyle look. It's just the native thing. But yeah, in generally speaking, I don't find value in people trying to look up to other content creators as like role models. I'm like, you're a fucking 30-year-old man. Why do you have a role model right now? Why aren't you your own role model? Why do you not have a goal? Why do you need to have a poster of another man up on your wall? I wouldn't even say it's gay because gay guys dress well. If I flex on. Dude, my flexes are so lame. That's kind of why I like flexing them. Like, I flex how I can just take a day and lie down on my sofa and do nothing. I flex how I can look out my window and see people walking to work in the winter and be like, oh, thank God I'm not that guy. That's my flex, because they impress me. I don't care if they impress anybody else. But that's the problem. Like, here, it's actually... Here, this gets me on the point that I was going to make here. I want to pull it up because I want it to I want to see if I get this one right. I think it's this one. Yes, assuming men are stupid. An old Whisper post. He actually did this for the red-pilled women, and it's funny in that I have to reference something that was given as advice to women to make the point here. Make of that information what you will. So while the goal of a girl and girl game is ultimately to get better treatment from men, the practice of it must consist of something more than naively grabbing for what you want in the most obvious fashion possible. And then he mentions somebody else who put it in a great way. It's like, I've always found it ironic that women who aim for high-quality men underestimate the mental capacity of such men, as if outstanding intellect, exceptional empathy, and excellent social skills are somehow not traits found in high-quality men. I mean, this is the impression I get from reading posts in like the female dating strategy community, and I always scratch my head about it. He's like, I'll expand on the idea. It makes little sense to date a man who joined the army and just made it through ranger school, and then ask the red pill women about how best to break this man's will with an ultimatum. And he actually has references. People tried this. Or to date a man who carefully practiced seduction, how to read women, and how to make yourself attracted to him, and then ask the women here how to play little games to make him jealous, because you saw that in a movie once. or to date a man who got himself a law degree, passed the bar, learned how to play the jury like a fiddle, and then asked the girls how to put off his sexual advances while feigning passion. If you do not, and this is the key point, and I want you to equate this to the relationship between content creator and content consumer. If you do not want a stupid, weak-willed, or oblivious man, do not employ tactics that require these qualities in a man. And this is why high-quality girl game does not consist of adversarial tactics. Not because they never work, but because the kind of man you can defeat in a game of chicken with these tactics is not the sort of man you want to spend the rest of your life with. The rules may be an excellent manual for managing your beta orbiters, but that's about it. Now, since a woman's goal is to remain with the man she's practicing game on, any means of getting her way that makes the man unhappy with the result will damage the potential for a relationship if it even does work. Girl game does not contain the same level of option to next men, so it must seek a win-win situation. Excellent rule of thumb is if explaining your tactic to him as you perform it would make it not work, it's a good idea not to try it at all. Sam Whiskey, $10 super chat. Don't get a role model, get a model to roll with. Absolutely, sir. If you want it, sure. I'll put a link to it. So what the hell is he saying? Well, it's simply put. A lot of girls who play stupid games and talk about high-value man and act all entitled and that shit, that actually doesn't work on the kind of men they want. Like, a man who's good sees right through this shit, and he doesn't need to put up with it, and so they don't. And that's why I laugh, because it's like, the girls are practicing, like, the female dating strategy, the chicks bragging on mine about, there's no good man. You guys know the types, the whammon ain't shit types, right? And I would argue the content creators that are nothing but flex, nothing but hot air, nothing but talking shit, nothing but yelling at the camera about how whammon ain't shit, it's all the same thing. It's all, they want a high quality product, a high quality man, whatever that means, I don't know. A high quality consumer, a high quality viewer. They want all this stuff, but what are they doing? They say they want these things, but everything they're doing appeals to knuckle draggers, mouth breathers, guys who just want to get fuck my ex-girlfriend. I bet you that bitch on Fresh and Fit looks just like her. They're attracting those kind of people to it. And then they feign I don't get it. Every time I'm on my podcast, somebody fucking swats me. It's like, well, what did you expect? The way you were acting was to attract that specific type of person while you're saying you want something else. Again, ignore what they say, watch what they do. So I refuse to believe, and this is going to be, I'm going to stop talking shit about him now because it's not even him as a person, it's him as a brand. Hear about how great the war room is and how much money you can make and this kind of stuff when essentially you're laundering money and you're getting arrested. And yes, it's never their fault. It's always somebody else's fault. Oh, well, it was a false charge. And this one here, that accused of beating my woman there, well, that was just a misunderstanding. It's after, and I can see that. Fake Me Too things happen all the time. But if it's the 6th or 7th accusation of shit like this, clearly there's something you're doing here to bring this kind of unluckiness among yourselves. So maybe it's a tactics issue. Maybe. But hey, guys will swear this is the greatest thing ever. Got to get in there. And same as women. Again, I don't deal with this stuff a lot because, and I've had girls come up to me, ask me about sexual strategy. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. And this is probably why guys need to never give female dating or sexual strategy at all, because we aren't capable of framing things from the feminine perspective. Even the femme guys aren't able to do this. We're only able to describe what we like. So if a girl's like, how do I make myself into a high quality woman? And they tell me that, or they tell Rolo that, or they tell Rich that, or they tell anybody that, the only thing we're going to be able to do, whether we know it or not, is to tell you how to be the type of girl that I think I want, which is not necessarily the girl that I actually want. And so all it ends up being is some waifu generator, you know? But that isn't whisper poning in this women's subreddit? Yeah. But fuck. I think he basically collaborates with his two girlfriends and they kind of work this stuff out together. So if anything, communication helps. Anyways, we're here. So play a charming game. This corner of the internet has almost as many acronyms as the military. Almost. I am making an effort though when I start doing acronyms to try and spell them out because I've noticed this. Dude, this is gonna make me laugh. I'm gonna skip to the next part after this because this is funny as hell. But so we are getting new people in this space, ones that aren't connected to the manosphere proper. They don't know who the fuck Ribby the Frog is. They don't know who Fresh and Fit are. And they come here, and then you're watching the communities meld. Like I saw a tweet this morning, or a comment on my YouTube this morning, made me laugh. Here, I'll put it up, because it's just, I can't put it up, but I'll read it to you, because it's fucking funny. Where is it? There it is. And it was just some random thing about sexual strategy. I think it was like a short even. And they were talking about women love to talk too much and some very generic strategy, blah, blah, blah. And this guy's like, yeah, what about the other 1,000 variable options? If they're really all the same, then it's time to take your bitch out on a fishing pole and find another pond. And then this guy's like, I don't get, is it worth switching your girl out just because they talk a lot? Or maybe break up with her because she talks a lot? Like, this space is getting weird, dude. And I like it. It's guys who know girls on a practical level versus guys who know girls on an abstract level. And it's just hilarious. Oh, she's doing this next to bitch. She goes, dude, if I next a girl every time she cries, like, I'm never going to have a girl around. What is wrong with you? Maybe just don't let this shit get to you. Like, let them be girls. Well, Torish, to be fair, he's not wrong on that. You guys are all pretty interchangeable and generic. Having said that, it's not as much of an insult as you think. Because I've said here a bunch of times that there's maybe 6 different types of guys out there, and we're all a combination of 2 of them max. People are just generic. We're all normies. Even people who are abnormal. There's only like 3 different types of abnormality. That's why everybody who's getting harassed by like incels and shit on the internet, they always think it's one guy stalking them with multiple accounts. It just turns out everybody is so damn predictable as a crowd. Yeah. It's just accept it. And that's actually a great thing, because that means the solution that works for me works for every guy. The solution that works for you works for every girl. Solutions are solutions. All right, so 1 hour. Actually, it's like 56 minutes. Ignore what we say, watch what we do. That's actually pretty good with the Tate thing there, because it kind of carries into this topic. Isn't it ignore what she says, watch what she does? It is. And like Rollo said to Carl and I 3 years ago when we first started the Rule Zero and all that stuff, is that you red pilled us to women, and we're going to red pill you to dudes. I am amazed. You see it everywhere. Entrepreneurs. A guy talking about being, you've heard of the term wantrepreneur, haven't you? Wantrepreneur. What's a wantrepreneur? It's a guy who wants to be an entrepreneur, but he doesn't want to actually like run a business or make a business or make money. He wants to have the identity of an entrepreneur, and that's why it's wantrepreneur. And you'll see they'll have business cards that say CEO. They always talk about their hustle. Whenever you ask them how the business is doing, they always speak about it in revenue terms. They never speak about it in profit. Dexter, €2 or $2 super chat. What are the 6 male archetypes? Well, it's not exactly 6. I just use that as my like go-to number. The takeaway from it is, as you stay in this space, and if you read field reports, you're going to find that most things are so predictable. You're going to sound like you're a soothsayer. How do you know this stuff? You can read my mind. It's like, no, I've just read this 500 times already. I just pulled a number out of my ass, and 6 seemed like a nice one, because we're not so simplistic that there's only 2 types of guys. It's not binary. And 6 was just the number that made sense in my head. Anyways, so yeah, there's some days I wish I was a wantrepreneur instead. And it's not just that. Wantrepreneur, alpha male. Alpha male is a perfect reason to describe, like, ignore what men say, watch what they do. Because who calls themselves an alpha male? Wasn't there that Mormon convention? Alpha Male Con. And they're sitting there being as good Mormon as they can. Wives who have definitely slept around with people outside of the Mormon community, talking about how godly they are. I don't know, guys, especially in the States, they kind of left God, and then they replaced him with Alpha. The god of Chad. And it makes sense now why all these critiques about calling Red Pill like a cult. Because all it is guys who left the religion, but still don't know how to frame their life in any other terms outside of religious ones. And so everything else has to fill in that framework. So instead of Jesus, it's Alpha, it's Chad. Instead of godliness, it's Alpha. Instead of evil, it's Beta. Instead of Satan, it's whatever content creator talks shit about your content creator, you know? Not making fun of you, making fun of men at the bar with their cards. Yeah, it's funny. I just coming from the outside looking in, and I guess the one thing I wanna impart on you guys as like wisdom, insofar as I have any, is just to stop caring about this stuff, because it doesn't really matter. Imagine winning in a game that you define the terms for, you define the rules for, and you decide what outcomes are mattering. Let's say you want to make money. So you make yourself into an entrepreneur. You build yourself a company. You don't build yourself a business card that says CEO. You aren't sitting there with your Gary V outfit talking about hustling on Facebook and shit like that. You're just out there running your company. You're out there making money. What do you buy with it? Well, I don't know, maybe you have to buy a lot of equipment, because then you get to write that off and then you pay less taxes. It's amazing how much shit you can write off, by the way. You could basically be tax-free as an organization for a long time, which is awesome. Without having to use tax evasion. Take that with you, Tim Pool. But yeah, do you buy a Lamborghini? No. Do you know who buys a Lamborghini? Somebody who wants you to think, I'm a fucking amazing businessman, so I'll buy a supercar, because you're like, holy shit, this guy must be important. Look at all that money he spent. He's got all that money to waste. And it goes back to sexual signals. Cheap signals versus expensive signals. It turns out Dr. David Buss and Cindy Minson talk about it in the book that I've referenced many times here, Why Women Have Sex. It is a gigantic slog of a book that goes over the 800 motivational reasons that women have sex, of which being horny is like number 752 on the list. Now, okay, so Rod, I'll put it this way. I'm not putting Rich on blast. The point is, Rich actually enjoys cars. For him, it's a hobby. He loves his car, and it's not about you liking his car, it's about him liking his car. That's why he doesn't get like the fancy car. Like here, I'll put it this way. Microphones. This one here is the Shure SM57. Functionally identical to one you've probably seen, the SMB7. The SMB7 is the one that Joe Rogan has, the one that looks like a thick dick. Exact same microphone, $400 difference in price. And the other one is made bigger, so it looks cool. So if you want to be a podcaster, that's the mic you get. But that's the thing. It's about looking like a podcaster. It's not about having proper sound quality. Yeah. Functionally, this sounds identical to it. Absolutely identical. And that's the beauty of it. You could buy a few of these ones, have a thing on there, but why would you spend the extra money? Well, you spend the extra money because you want other people to think you're serious. Look at the size of this microphone. It's the top quality, and everybody else has it. Now take that same conversation about a microphone and put it towards a Lamborghini, and now you're kind of getting it. I need everybody to think I'm super important, and therefore I'm going to spend all this money that I was making to earn the freedom not to be beholden to things, and spend it on a car now that I have to be beholden to the car. I have to get it repaired all the time. I got to pay bills on the car. I got to pay for all this stuff. The insurance is crazy. And because it's usually your first supercar, you're probably going to crash it and smash it. Oh, Avid, it's amazing how Flex is. Yeah, everybody wants to be the chode, but not look like a dick. Yeah, now, that's one of the reasons. Like, it's competition. Cold Steel's right. The reason women like sexist men, attractive men keep away from the competition. Yeah, girls love to flex. And showing them the guy they're fucking, and the guy they've locked down is an absolute flex. Which is kind of where I get to with luxury branding. Again, ignore what guys say, watch what they do. So let's say you're into the notch count thing, right? I want to sleep with as many women I can, and that's the only thing you brag about is notch count. And you think that's the coolest thing ever. Dude, I've put my dick inside of 1,000 women. What have you done with your life? Now, it's impressive as a skill, especially when there's only been like 1,200 days between when you started the flex and when you end it. Just saying. I don't know. I would have taken like a week of vacation at some point if I was shooting for 1,000 like that. That's just me. But what does that do? Because I've had a lot of clients when I was first starting out here where they were like that. They were like racking in notches, left, right, and center. But they had no idea what to do after that first lay. Like, they didn't have plates. They had one-night stands. So there's clearly, like, there's certain skill sets you have to have. There's how to sleep with a woman, you know, the alpha stuff. There's how to sleep with a woman a second time, which is pepper in enough beta stuff to be comfortable and worth hanging around with the second time, be good in bed, all that kind of stuff. And then there's the how to keep her around for the long term. That's like the beta skills. And so there's like 3 different sets of skills here. And if a guy's good at one set of skills, he's going to double down on that because he's awesome. And his ego prevents him from seeing maybe there's other skill sets I need to work on. Hey, I can sleep with a girl 90% of the time, which is impossible, but whatever. Let's just say for sake of argument. but they never enjoy a second date with me. What's up with that? Yeah, I don't care. I'll just sleep with some more. But you see what I mean, though? It's like they're taking it too far. They're turning their necessity into a virtue in a certain way. And I know it seems like a weird thing. It's like, how often does this happen? Not often. I'm not saying it's often. But I've talked with guys, and they've been part of like... they were actually part of Love Systems, Inc., which is like the original mystery training ground. And it's cool to talk with them. And they're like, oh, yeah, and mystery was kind of cool to talk to. I'm like, oh, wow, you met him. Basically, I started doing pickup when they were like coaching pickup. And I'm like, oh, it's kind of neat. He's like, yeah, now my wife can't stand me. I don't know what to do. So I just went and, started doing the pickup thing 'cause that's what I'm good at. And I just realized, yeah, it's like if you exclude your ability to grow because you want to fill your ego by filling into a certain identity, it's not going to be a good thing. It's not even. Dude, didn't you remember that story they had where there's like the celebrity version of Tinder? And Ben Affleck was picking up this girl and she put it on social media like, look at this fake Ben Affleck, what the hell? And then Ben Affleck got on, he's like, actually, it's me, dude. It's fucking me. And then she put it on blast like, look at this guy. He thinks he's got a chance at me. And then they booted her off the platform. They're like, dude, celebrities need discretion, you big mouth bitch. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah. But yeah, see, Larry knows. The SM57, great mic. The 57 and the 58. This is actually, technically, it's supposed to have like the metal round piece to it. Everybody uses them at concerts and that. So yeah, ignore what somebody says. Watch what they do. If they start saying how great they are with everything, start to see the things that they don't test and they don't try. I've learned this kind of similar to what Clary was talking about with the curse of the high IQ, but he words it a bit differently. I was the same way. A lot of you guys were like this way, where everybody was telling you how smart you were, and maybe you were. Maybe you did your IQ test, you scored, I think it's anything above 135, you're considered a genius, which I don't know if that's true or not. I scored like 132, something like that. So it's perfect. From an ego perspective, it's like to be the smartest average guy, but not so smart that you end up being awkward, and not dumb enough that you end up being a midwit. It's great. The point of the story is, though, everybody was telling you you're smart. Everybody told me I was smart. And then you just don't try things that are hard. Because I don't care how smart you are. Yes, you'll catch on quicker. Yes, you'll probably do better in the long run. But you still have to have a work ethic. Because if you start attaching smart as your identity in the same way you attach your notch count as your identity, the same way you attach your Lamborghini and your entrepreneurship as your identity, anything that goes against that identity, you just fight. So if you're smart and then something is difficult, quantum physics or something stupid, right? And you're like, holy geez, I'm not instantly catching on to this because it turns out it's hard and I might have to spend some time on it. Instead of doing that, you just like, I don't really want to try anyway. And you become a slacker. You're like, I could have been good at it, but I just didn't care. It's like you cared, but you just didn't like the idea of a rejection. Wait, you mean to tell me that's the equivalent of you not talking to girls because you're afraid of rejection? I'm saying it's exactly the same manifestation of your stupid ego fucking you over, man. Same as the entrepreneur. Dude, imagine an entrepreneur not buying a Lamborghini and then still trying to tell people he's a good entrepreneur. It's hard. You know why it's hard? Because nobody knows. How would I know you're a good entrepreneur? What do you have to show me that I can see? Where's your receipts? And that's why you buy a Lamborghini, so you can show it off. The problem is, you can rent a Lamborghini. You can borrow a Lamborghini. You can do what my brother used to do and stand in front of a Lamborghini with your car keys. Take a picture with that, and all of a sudden your Tinder blows the fuck up. Yeah. Well, then how are you supposed to show off how great you are? It's like, how about don't? Did you ever think about this? Don't. There's no need for it. Like, why do you need people to think how awesome you are? It should come out naturally. And I hate bringing this up, but the Vox Day social sexual hierarchy, he talks about alphas, betas, deltas, omegas, lambadas, which I don't even know what the fuck that one means, and gammas. I think it's a horrible system. I think it's caused untold harm to men everywhere who take it seriously. But I will say this. When it comes to this flexing thing. Wait, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, it's where the guys start attaching themselves to being one or the other. Well, I want to be an alpha male. And so they act like the most fun guy at the parties. And they try to flex with it. But then the problem is nobody else really cares or knows about these hierarchies at all. So all you end up doing is looking awkward. Why is he trying so hard? I don't know why he's trying so hard. And then he brought up the Sigma male thing, which I hate bringing it up because it's fucking ridiculous. But in this case, it makes a point. Or I think Troy calls them renegade alphas. Royce used to call them situational alphas. Whatever. The point is, he's a guy who walks into a room and he has no receipts. Yet, he's getting the kind of success that those guys with receipts are supposed to have. You walk into a room with all guys with fancy business suits talking about their Lamborghinis and their boat houses, and then you watch a dude with like a pair of board shorts and a t-shirt walk in, and he's navigating it perfectly. He knows the lingo, he knows to talk to who, he has a cool confidence about him. Turns out he's like the owner of, I don't know, Facebook or whatever. No flexing, absolutely no flexing. There's actually, and it's like, kind of ties in, and if you want to know how to like articulate this in your head, if you've ever heard of the term nouveau riche, or like new money and old money, think about it like that. That's receipts, new money. Like there's an old British saying where this one aristocrat, he's sitting there in a pub, just some shitty pub, working class pub, wearing like shitty clothes, a peak cap or whatever, or like a normal hat, whatever. And one of his aristocrat buddies comes in, he's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing here? And you're like, you're not dressed well, you're not looking good, you're sitting with the riffraff. He's like, it's fine, dude. Nobody here knows who I am. And he's like, all right, fine, whatever. And he leaves. And later on, he finds him at one of the dinner country club parties at the Queen's house or whatever. And he's sitting there in the corner and he's still wearing really shitty clothes and the shitty hat, dressed like he was just at the pub. He's like, dude, you're at the fancy party. What the fuck are you doing here like that? And he goes, oh, it's fine. It's fine. Everybody here knows who I am. That one always makes you laugh. Billy's got a good point here. Shit talking your exes isn't a good look. Yeah, here's the thing. So we'll talk like a specific strategy. I'll make an extra section for this one. What are we on? Actually, what's the time? 1:12. Shit talking. Oh, I probably shouldn't put a swear word. Talking smack. How's that for euphemism? Talking smack. Is that still a thing, or am I outing myself as an older person? Yeah, don't talk smack about your exes in general. I don't know what started the conversation. I'm just talking about it now. A lot of guys think it's cool. Like, oh, why'd you guys break up? Oh, she was just a bitch. Oh, that psycho cheated on me. And they always love to tell their Batman origin story about how they did them wrong. And they think it's, I'm going to tell them what she did, and then they're going to feel what I feel about her. It's literally solipsism, which is weird how men have it there, but I mean, whatever. Men raised as defective women. Lump it up to that. And Torsh's kind of got the point here. So when you talk shit about your ex, what you're really doing is saying, this is the behavior that I'm willing to put up with. And this is the quality of people that I'm able to attract in my life. And this is what they think they can get away with in my life. It's like walking into the ghetto. Dude, I got mugged last week. The guy took like $5,000. He took $5,000 from me, and all he had to do was punch me in the face, and I gave it to him. He's such an asshole. The dude in the ghetto is like, I might mug this guy, you know? Yeah, so never, ever, ever talk shit about your exes, even if they are absolute righteous cunts. Because that's all you're doing is telling people, I can't pick a good woman or a good man, whatever. I will talk shit about you. And there's people have often noticed, like, no ex ever speaks well about you. Most of the time when you have an ex-girlfriend, they will always not like you. Your dick's small, you're an abuser, you're emotionally not there, whatever. You broke up. Clearly somebody doesn't like somebody else more at some point, and that's why the breakup happens. So people are used to seeing when somebody's talking shit about an ex that, I wonder what the ex would say. That's almost always the first thing, especially as a guy, because people are generally inclined going to take a woman's side of things. Sisterhood, uber Alice. Women always prefer women over men, and men usually prefer women over men. So beyond the two of those things, talking shit about an ex is automatically going to have the guy thinking, what the fuck did he do to deserve that? So yeah, the only acceptable answer to give when somebody asks, if you're going to give anyone, why did you guys break up? What happened? It didn't work out. We just drifted apart. These things happen. That's all you're going to say. Because that's all you can say. Everything else you say is going to make you look like an asshole. So I would strongly suggest never doing it. Yeah, Marty, it's a true thing. Somehow my dick shrinks 4 inches after breakups. Dude, I saw that in the flesh. This one RMS clerk we used to sail with, Stacy. And she used to always talk about that. We sitting there in the mess, having drinks, and dating this new guy. She's like, oh, this guy's great. Big fucking hammer. And she'd always say that in like her East Coast Halifax accent. Big fucking hammer. We're like, all right, fair enough. We're just laughing. And then, sure enough, it was always serial monogamy. She'd be dating him for 2 months, and then they'd break up. So she's not a slut, because it's always with a boyfriend. But even though she had, 12 boyfriends a year, It's like, all right, fair enough. But she's not like the other girls. And then, yeah, it was always, they were breaking up. It's like, oh, that guy, he's a small dick. He was never very good in bed anyway. We put on, I got this new guy, big fucking hammer. And we always used to laugh because she had zero self-awareness to it. And it was funny because she dated a friend of ours once, who I'm still friends with now. And I remember we were joking around about that. Like, she used to talk about how big his hammer was, and he used to love it. He's like, yeah, guys. I'm like, oh, you're the hammer guy. She's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, hammer time. And then they broke up because she wanted to lose weight, and he was like big into fitness and stuff like that because he was doing some special forces stuff. And so they went out, and she's like, okay, so here's what I need you to do. I need you to help me make better food decisions. And they went out to dinner one day, and the waitress came, was like, what do you guys want? She's like, I'll have lasagna. He's like, actually, she'll have a salad. And then after that, she wanted nothing to do with him, and his dick shrunk. And I just started laughing. Makes me laugh. Okay, so that's let's get back on point here. Oh yeah, women aren't people. That's gonna be fun. 116. Women aren't people. Think, who makes these titles? That sounds so misogynistic. Sir, why do you hate women so much? I never think I did, but we never know.
Single moms. A horrible position that's not my problem.
Women are not people. What the hell are you talking about with that? I don't know. Are we on the screen? Yes, you're on the screen. You're on the screen until I see one of you guys start doing some stupid stuff to try and get me banned. Then I'm taking this thing off the screen. The hell do you mean women aren't people? Well, it's a weird thing. In a guy's mind, especially ones who have unhealthy levels of narcissism, is that women aren't people. You mean women are objects? No, I don't mean women are objects. I don't mean women are objectified. I mean, they're not people. They're an extension of your own ego. They're like a set piece on your one-man play. And it's not a healthy way to go about things. And I'm not doing this from like people need to respect. No, it's not that. It's that if you think of people as set pieces, then they're only ever going to be an extension of your ego and what you think. And you see it online all the time. Terminally online people as well as terminally offline people. I'll say that much right now. It always comes out in male solipsism. Males have solipsism? Dude, how many times do I got to tell you men have been raised like defective women for like 2 generations now until you finally believe me? And then all the hypergamy stuff we start talking about, take like a real fucked up Down syndrome version of it, and that tends to be how a lot of unattractive guys act. And funny enough, they tend not to have a very successful sexual strategy, and they bitch online constantly. That means tell everybody your favorite black jokes. Yeah, coffee's so black it has an end. Oh, no. Where was I going with this one? Oh, yeah. They're not people. For example, I remember this as a kid. I think I told the story before how I had to fight my stepdad, which it's one of those situations where your dad's like, you're not a man until you fight your old man. And I'm like, all right, fair enough. It's actually it had some wisdom to it, but it was kind of a fucked up message for a kid anyway. And once that happened, he like opened up to me and actually started to become like a friend. And I'm like, that's the worst mistake I ever made in my life. But, and I remember he was telling the stories about, how girls are always worried about dick size and stuff like that. And I'm like, what the hell? At the time, I was, somewhat sexually successful. Not the greatest. In retrospect, I look back, I'm like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I have never had a girl ever had like a kind or unkind word to say about dick size one way or another. They generally don't care. They talk a lot of shit, but women say a lot of things. You got to ignore like 86.5% of it. They don't really care. Turns out all the nerves are in the first 2 inches. Turns out women have horrible spatial intelligence. It's actually true. They do IQ tests, and it's one thing that men will almost always score higher than women on the IQ test is spatial intelligence. Telling distances apart, telling, this shape unfolded looks like this or this, all that stuff. So women say they want a 6-foot man with a 6-inch dick. But if she's into you, she will describe you as 8'10" with a giant fucking hammer. Giant fucking hammer, bye. And you're like, oh, Jesus. So most of the time, and 90% of you guys are going to be within the average range. I don't know what it is. I just know whatever the average range is. By definition, almost all of you are going to fall within it. Some of you will be slightly bigger. Some of you will be slightly smaller within, normal range. And then there's like a 1% outlier on either side. I don't really care about those guys. I can't really do much to help you, sir. Don't worry about it. You better be good with your tongue. It actually is bad for both because a lot of those guys in the top end too, they actually can't have sex because it's too painful. Which is absolutely hilarious. Imagine that. That's like the Midas touch, the Midas curse. Everything I touch turns to gold. The problem is I can't eat food anymore. And I just starve to death. I have the biggest dick in the world. I can't have sex with anybody because they keep crying. It's like, fair enough. But that's the solipsism thing. Girls aren't people. Therefore, the things that I'm insecure about, and when it comes to masculinity, what is there other than dick size that like is solely a male insecurity, right? I'm insecure about this, therefore they must be judging on this, and it influences all your decisions. So when you're talking to girls, it'll come out about how all of a sudden you start talking about the thing. And that's the one thing you can say for sure. I think I've talked about this in my book near the last chapter. We're not having sex tonight, right? It's when you're on a date with a girl, things are going well, and at some point they stop and they tell you, just so you know, I'm not like the other girls, we're not having sex tonight, or some variation of that. And a lot of guys take that to mean as a literal thing. Oh, I understand. I would never do that to you. I don't want to do that stuff. And they're missing the point. You got to look at them as if they're people. Now, why would a person say something like that? Did you bring up sex? No. Were you talking about sex? No. Were you even thinking about sex? Well, I mean, maybe, but you didn't say anything. So why would they bring it up? It's because you know for a fact, A, they were thinking about sex. B, they were thinking about sex with you. And C, they thought, I don't want him to think I'm a slut. It's not about you. And if you don't think of them as if they're people, you hear that statement, you hear it through your own solipsistic lens, where it's like, oh, she thinks sex is bad and I'm a bad person for wanting it. Therefore, I got to tell her that I don't like sex and it's not good. And you basically talked yourself out of a fun night, and the girl actually ends up getting pissed off. She's like, probably would have, was going to be fun. I was feeling it, but he just got creepy at the end there. And then she hates you. Because now she feels stupid that she felt all these feelings, and it turns out you were just fake. So yeah, you got to treat them like people. And in that case, you listen to what they're actually saying. What's the girl saying here? It's like, I don't want you to think I'm a slut. I don't want you to brag about your friends and ruin my reputation. I'm willing to have fun, but we're not going through that route. And then as a guy, you hear that, you treat them as people, and you realize, okay, so my solution then is just put her at ease. Oh, yeah. You're not like those other girls, or just laugh. But you know that. It's like, okay, so we're going to have sex, and I won't brag about it to my friends. I won't embarrass you. And the next morning, I won't make you feel guilty or dirty about it. Leave them better than you found them. Then everybody feels good about themselves. They can all have this event. They can all get laid, and they can all pretend that, the next morning, here, we'll go to, like that movie Heat. Tomorrow, you're going to take the score, and I'm going to try and take you down. But today, we're going to have this coffee. It's like that. We're going to fool around today. And then tomorrow, you can go onto your podcast, talk about how women ain't shit, and you can go to the mall and talk about how guys are just assholes. But tonight, let's have some fun, and let's pretend for a while that human beings don't hate each other. Oh dear, Bach, it's good to see you again, but geez, man. Don't lead with that. Yeah, same thing. So when your insecurities, they don't know what you're insecure about until you start talking about it. If you start talking about dick envy, the girl automatically, in an instinctive level, because girls, they may not know women. Girls have a notch count of 1. They know one girl. They don't know all girls. But they do know guys and their bullshit. They're very, very good at it because they've learned they may not be as smart as men because their brains are 10% smaller, but they will beat your ass with the experience. They know every stupid, convoluted, manipulative trick guys have ever pulled because they've fallen for all of them from when they were 13 to when they were 30. So when you think you're trying to be clever, they've seen it and they've been there. They may not be able to articulate it and put it into a book like Roosh did, but they know. And bless them for that because they just realize the kind of experiences that are fun for them. And the good ones. I mean, girls aren't perfect at it, right? Some girls just really suck at dating. They suck at men, and so they end up in really horrible situations. And I'm not about to say this is like low-quality women and high-quality women. It just turns out game is a skill, and a lot of women suck at it too, so whatever. Yeah, and so in chat, you're listening to guys in chat here. Everybody's got kind of like their own techniques, their own ways of going about it, and the ones that worked for them, the ones that don't. You're going to notice there's an infinite variety of things you can do in these situations, but they'll all fit within a certain category of behaviors. Don't take it too seriously. Treat them like women. Realize the underlying subtext of what's being said. Provide the thing that the other person wants, and then they give you the thing that you want. It's a transactional thing with one level of separation in that it's not like prostitution. It's just people value people who are valuable to them. I'm feeling good. I'm getting everything I want. Why wouldn't I keep doing this stuff that he wants? He makes me happy. Why wouldn't I make him happy? You know what I mean? My girl's game is just grabbing my D. I was thinking like that's that Simpsons episode. Remember the one where elephant was headbutting the other elephant? And they're like, why is he doing that? I don't know. Sometimes animals are just dicks. And then Homer's just like headbutting the dude in there for no reason. I always just think of that. It's always funny. I wish I had her confidence. Nobody has confidence. What the heck? There's like 2 girls in chat. What the hell are you guys doing here? Get out of here. This is the He-Man Woman Haters Club, madams. Where was I going with this one? Oh, yeah. The humans. Women aren't people. Yeah, so that's women aren't people. And then the other problem is when you treat them as like abstract entities. And that's how you get the whole MGTOW 42069 joke, which kind of makes me laugh in a sad way. 3? God damn it. At this rate, I'm going to have to put a man bun on my hair and start talking about feelings. We're going to do the Mark Manson switch. Later, babe. Does a man's fetish say anything about them in your experience? I haven't experienced many men's fetishes, so I couldn't tell you. Unless their fetish is having a beer with the bros and not, talking about your dick. That's about it. And at that point, all it says is that they're pleasant to hang out with. I don't know any water bottle tricks. Sorry, man. The MGTOW 42069 Alpha Wolf. I absolutely did call, sir. Where was I going with this one? Oh, yeah, as people. So you think of them as people, and then you realize girls have their own wants and their own needs. And this kind of taps into, like, that whole argument, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? I am the table, bitch. And it's like everybody's here so worried about sounding clever and getting a gotcha moment to a woman or to a dude that they're missing the point. It's that guys don't even know what we bring to the table because we don't think women are people. I'll give you a great example. Remember anxiety? I was talking about that before. Desire comes at the tail end of anxiety. Well, picture somebody who's neurotic all the time. All the time. And she's hot and she's gorgeous and you're just you. Hot or as gorgeous as you want to be. And you're calm, you're stable. Oh, yes! Easter eggs, motherfucker. I don't want to hear any of this. I got a high quality woman until you're giving Easter eggs on the live stream. I don't give a fuck. Back to the neuroticism. So yeah, let's say that. Let's say you're calm. Let's say every time she gets neurotic, some dude is like a calm, stabilizing force, doesn't sweat the small things, is fairly aloof, makes her feel comfortable, makes her feel good. Fucking superpower. Now, as a guy, you're just like, you think of it, if you're solipsistic and the girl's not a person, you think, God, this chick is so annoying. She's always fucking freaking out and crying and that. Why do I always have to deal with this stuff? Because you're thinking that she exists there just to fuck with your chill. And that mental point of origin and frame means you need to be able to fight this off. And it's some evil battle between superheroes and that. And no, it's not that. It's that women are people. Women are generally more neurotic than men. And that being a calm, stabilizing force in a girl's life is something that she takes as valuable. Now, a consequence of that means she's going to be less or more neurotic than you are. And so you're going to have to deal with more chaos. I think that's the Jordan Peterson thing. More chaos than you otherwise would have. So you mean to tell me by providing value, I have to have stuff that happens that's less than I'm used to? It's like, yeah, just the way it works. If she likes you as a stabilizing force, what do you think she's going to come at you as? A perfectly stable person? No. She's going to be neurotic. And that's the thing. Everybody's like, I want a woman. I want a real woman. I don't want these like boss bitches. Well, if you want a super feminine woman, you cannot be mad when she cries. That's just what comes with the territory. If anything, you should like it. Be there with your girl. She's like crying over watching a TV show. I'm crying. I don't know why. I'm pretty sure every guy at some point has experienced a girl who's cried and not know why she's crying. Take that as a good sign, as opposed to like being annoyed that she's crying and making you feel anxious or whatever. Just realize like, yeah, she's being more feminine around me. And it just happens that one of the side effects are tears. Meh. Yeah, it used to get on a lot of guys' nerves, and that's the thing. Because they treat it about themselves. Like, it's all about me. That'll work. Oh, that's some thick ass cookies and cream. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm gonna start crying. I'm gonna finish that, but it's gonna be hard, man. Yeah, the crap used to piss me off because I saw it with my sisters when they try and finesse me. Absolutely, and like I've got 1, 2, 3 sisters myself, so I totally feel ya. All right, last one. My teeth are hurting. And that's the thing that guys have to understand too with women are people. Women don't think men are people either. That's why sisters, random strangers. Dude, that chick, Taylor Lorenz, the one that just docked the libs of TikTok chick. 2 white chicks are having a battle royale over the heart and soul of America right now. Over trans memes. And she's crying and she's eliciting sympathy because women are so used to codependent men that they just assume every guy on earth needs to give them like boyfriend gifts. I need to cry and you need to console me. Orbiters always do that for free. Orbiters, emotional tampons, whatever you want to call them, they're the equivalent of like the sluttiest male friend. Because they can vent their neuroticism on them. They can vent their frustrations, and the guy, I'm giving nothing in return. So as a guy, your job is to not give it out for free. It's valuable. I just told you it was valuable. You know it's valuable. So why the hell are you giving it away? Voice pitch goes up when she says your name. Finesse mode. Yeah, sure. So as a guy then, you kind of have to get a bit cold. But it's because you stop treating women as if they are abstract concepts. You treat them like they're people. You treat them like, I know it's going to sound weird, but you treat them like they're equal. And I think it was like a great post that somebody kind of realized, and it clicked, everything clicked. The reason that so many women hate the red pill and think of it as so misogynistic or misogyny or whatever they want to say is because they have the audacity to treat women like people. And that, what I mean by that is that you don't just like, you're polite to strangers, because why wouldn't you be polite? You never know who's who, could be around a rough day. You've got no reason to be mean to somebody. But if somebody starts wanting to take advantage of that, I'm crying, I'm neurotic, I need you to fix me. It's like, I'm not fucking you. You go cry. And that's why you have like a good laugh. When you see chicks crying on the internet and guys have a little chuckle amongst themselves. Watching TikToks. Like my Chick Talk series where I'm sitting there watching like a middle-aged chick complain about all the good men and I'm just laughing my ass off having a coffee. I'm like, it sucks for you, lady. It's because I treat them like people. And it turns out when people post their America's Home Video blooper online, I'm going to laugh. Skateboarder hits himself in the groin when he's trying to ride a rail and the board slips out from under him and he goes fucking crashing onto the thing, nut first. I'm going to laugh the same as I do on that with some chick that gets blown the fuck out by some dude she's trying to date and show that. But it's funny. It's funny. I'm not looking at it like, yeah, that'll teach that bitch. How dare she? It's like, It's like women crying. It's the same thing. Some chick's crying because, oh my god, I doxed this chick online and now everybody's mad at me and life is so hard. I'm laughing my ass off. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You know what I can say? Yeah, the same way. And it's like a nice red-pilled lesson where you realize that women are people. It kind of loses, and this is where like a lot of the complaints come in. We're like, well, it loses the magic. Love doesn't feel this way anymore. It doesn't feel as magical as it did. I think even Billy and I were talking about that on the last podcast where he's like, the day that that high school love is the only true love that exists. And he's absolutely right, because there's a maturity aspect to it. When you're a kid, women are magic, and the love is an emotion, and it feels just great. And then as an adult, you tend to get more pragmatic. You realize women are just women. They're mostly interchangeable. If there's one that's super invested in you, they tend to provide more value, and you tend to be more invested in them. They got to go first, though, Oberfeld's Law. And they do the same stupid thing that all other people do. They still poop like everybody else. Yeah, and you realize, like, and it's not so much like love, instead of becoming an emotion, becomes an investment, a choice. It's like Wine More Please always says, happiness is a choice. And clowns aren't happy. All right, finishing the coffee, finishing the egg. So happiness is just a choice. Where do I leave off here? Oh, what do you want, really? Okay, good. What are we on for time? 1:34. Just about on schedule. A little bit in front of schedule. So that's fine. We'll do a little more banter and chill with the chat. About minute 40 is what I was planning to start with this one. So we got 6 minutes to goof around. Treat them like adults and act in your best interest. Well, the most responsible teenager in the house. I think that's actually one of the best and most under or misunderstood posts from the Red Pill sidebar. Women, the most responsible teenagers in the room. It was actually from a MGTOW thing, of all things considered. But back then, MGTOWs used to be jaded pickup artists, as opposed to like guys who have just never got women and checked out of the thing because they're afraid of Me Too and shit. And it was bringing up that women mature faster than men, but they peak at like 18. And it was bringing up, and I don't know if it's true or not, it's a good model to keep in your head. Whether it's true or not, it's irrelevant. And that's because women were childbearing, like after, like when's childbearing happened for girls? Like 15, 16, something like that? Not saying they should. I'm just saying it is, biologically speaking. And so they have children. They used to have children young. And so you couldn't get too over mature because you needed to have that nurturing and protective instinct. And so having more of a childlike whimsy to you tended to work better. But getting there as quick as possible was also seen as good. So that's why girls mature very quickly, but peak very soon. Meanwhile, guys, on the other hand, we're not worth a damn until we build something of ourselves. And so our maturity takes a long time to manifest, but then it peaks much higher and much later. It's an old Roosh comment where he's like, guys aren't taken seriously until they're 35. And it absolutely is true. Like, to the day almost, the year I turned 35, it's like I noticed income started going up and people started taking my opinion seriously. It's like, how do you guys even know? It just happened that way. That's also why it tends to be like a 5 to 10 year age gap between men and women is usually seen as a good thing because it has that right mixture of male maturity and feminine whimsy put together. So everybody's kind of happy with each other, right? It's also why you see like, and you just kind of know this on an instinctive level, when you see like a 35-year-old chick with a 22-year-old man, there's something about it just rubs you the wrong way. It's not like a creepy thing, but it's like, it doesn't make sense. It's like when you watch an MC Escher sketch and you're like, I don't know where those stairs are going. Like something about it just looks off. It's like that. I wouldn't even say predatory. Like I refuse to lump that in with like 18-year-old girls with 70-year-old men kind of like predatory shit there. Like I get that. On the girl side of thing, it's just weird. I think it's guys' need for like a mommy waifu tapping into it. Or if you're not getting any, like, let's face it, on the dating sites, 35-year-old women are having a rougher time than 23-year-old women are. I'll just say that. And so for them, they notice there's a whole group of guys who are having just as unlucky a time on the dating sites, which is like 23-year-old men. So yeah, of course, there's a huge open market here, and you're a huge open market here. Why not take these two sellers markets and put them together? Hey, works out. Well, I know what she's getting from that. It's validation from sex, right? So whatever. Little mini aches too. Happy Easter, by the way. It's nice to see that Coach Red Pill has risen from the grave after 3 days. Ooh, Dexter coming in with the heat. Okay. We're about time we can finish this off. Yeah, let's make it at 1:40. Oh, get back there. What do you want, really? Hey, does somebody have a link? Before I start on this one, there is this podcast that everybody makes fun of on TikTok. They call it Dudes with Microphones. And there's this one nerdy kid with like a goofy mustache. He looks like David Spade. Like a young version of David Spade. And he just sits there talking about like 2014 Manosphere talking points on a podcast. And then every guy tries to flex on him by saying, hey, what do girls smell like? Do you even fucking know? And all the girls make fun of it because like unattractive guys are unattractive incels, you know? Did you see his appearance on Duran? CRP rattled badly, understandably. Yeah, I saw a little bit of it. I saw the 4-minute thing of it. He says he was rattled. I'll believe him. I've been in trouble before, so I don't know if he's fragile or it really was a whooping ass whooping. But keep in mind too, right? Like, I've been in conduct under capture courses, so I've actually been trained on how to act in these situations. It's been a long time, and I've forgotten most of it. But yeah, so his reaction to it, I don't know. Is it because he's untrained? Is it because it was really a big deal? I don't know. I try not to speculate too much on it. Stuck in Kharkov under house arrest. Detained him, let him go on the internet, asking why Ukraine keeps foreigners as hostages. Again, on this one, a house arrest scenario. I've had worse. Popcorn, what do they do? Okay, so what do you want? That's the big one. It's funny because nobody knows what the fuck they want. You ask guys what they want, and they don't tell you. You ask a girl what she wants, you ask a guy what she wants, you're going to get the same thing every time. You're going to get them think of what they want in situ. They'll actually process and come up with an answer. So they're making it up for you. So you can take as a certainty whatever they say they want, they don't actually want. Ask a young guy what he wants. He wants to get laid because his hormones are driving him to get laid, but he doesn't say that. He says he wants a high quality woman. He says, no. I want a mission. I want vision. I want mental point of origin. I want a high quality woman. Like, what does any of that stuff mean? And you're always going to see it because guys always have to make it a convoluted, and you know a guy is bullshitting himself once he starts speaking like he's reading a thesaurus as he talks. Yeah, harems. I want a harem. It's like, well, why don't you work on locking down one girl until you start worrying about the second one? Like baby steps, right? So is that really what you want? Has he made any efforts to lock down one? No. Has he made any efforts to be attractive enough to call a harem? No. What does he do? He sits there saying, I want a harem, and then he watches some guy who brags about his harem, and then he goes back to doing whatever it is he was doing anyway. It's one of those things. Don't worry about what he's saying. Watch what he does. That guy that says he wants a harem, he's basically saying he doesn't want to have to put in effort and he wants things to come in effortlessly to him. Completely unaware that by things coming to you without any effort or any earned potential from it, that you tend not to want it. Everything becomes boring. But I mean, almost nobody gets to that situation anyway, so it just becomes this longing for a world that could have been. So they end up saying things that they just heard somebody else say. That's why you hear the 3 6s. That's why that took off. What do you want out of life, sir? I want 6-pack abs, a 6-inch dick, 6 feet tall. The fuck, why? Because it's catchy? Because it has the words number 6 in it 3 times? Oh, and yeah, that's a thing. If you guys do get a chance, read Simon Lancaster's speech writing books on it. Excuse me. He says, one of the most powerful things you can do, rule of 3s, mention something 3 times. Mention something escalating 3 times. Repeat yourself 3 times. It will have more staying power. It will sound like a better speech. It will resonate faster with the audience. And if you didn't just see what I did right there, then you're not paying attention. Oh, for dicks? No, well, Fez, you're actually getting to the point here that I'm going to get to in a second. I want to say they said the average was like 5.5. Correct? So 6 would, I guess, be a slightly above average. It's the midwit of dicks, I guess. I don't know. But that's the thing. So you get a bunch of guys that are just talking in the abstract about women and goals and what they actually want anyway. And so it's already made up bullshit. So why wouldn't you escalate it? And that's how you get, like, how Fezman's saying, well, it should be an 8-inch cock. Well, it's a 12-inch cock. Well, I got a 27-inch python brother. Same thing. It used to be guys at 6 feet tall was the goal. Then it was 6'2". I think it's up to like 6'8". If you're not 6'8", the chick's got nothing but patience and time for you. Like, whatever. Yeah. No, supposedly. Like I said, I'm like you. I don't look into it. It's just if it comes across my face, I'll get some source amnesia from it. Whatever. Yeah. So the guys don't want that. They don't even know what they want. And that's why they attach themselves to, like, immutable traits. Height? You can't change your height. So why would you sit here fantasizing about the 6-foot Chad if you're 5'11", or 5'10", or 5'8", or whatever? Your height is your height. And there's enough 5'4" men in the world to show you that. You can be a 5'4" guy with 5'4" genetics, and you can still have kids because 5'4" adults are walking around who had 5'4" dads. Don't worry about it. But they don't know what they want. So they attach them to the things. And that's why marketing is so bad, because it's catchy. I talk about the 3 6s. You instantly remember that because it's very easy to remember the number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 6, 6, 6. I remember that. Oh, and the concatenation, 3 6s. It's like the devil, so a dark triad, right? Crazy. 6, 6, 6. So, confidence, you mean stand up straight? Confidence isn't quite what you think it is. Confidence isn't just about acting the part. Confidence in women is thinking well of yourself because you have an intrinsic value. You got a baby maker, you got tits, you smell nice, whatever. Or what's the thing? As a wise man once said,
I love the way girls smell. I love how they always make sure, by and large, they shower, and they just have an amazing smell to them in general.
as a wise man once said, women don't have to try because they shower every day. Yeah, so for them, self-esteem is just about thinking of themselves properly. Like the shit you think of now when you hear about people saying confidence. You're the best, health at any size, all that shit. Just, you gotta believe. It's like Tinkerbell. For a guy, it's a, what are you doing, dude? The dog's sitting in the dog coat bin as if it's his dog bed. It's just fucking weird. Anyways, confidence for men is a feedback loop. Confidence is you do something, that something succeeds, and then you get a dopamine hit from that, and then you continue to do things, and then as you do more things, you succeed at more things, it feeds back into a concept called confidence, and that's male confidence. That's why sleeping with that very first notch is the hardest one for a man, because you don't know if it's possible. But then once you do it, you have the confidence. All right, I've done it once, I can do it twice. And then you do it twice, and you're like, oh yeah, 3 times should be easy. And then you get to like 10 or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, it's I'm gonna go have a nap today. Maybe we'll do this tomorrow. I'm not in the mood today. See what I mean? Jesus Christ, Billy. All right, that's a bit of a funny joke. It's crude as hell, but it's funny. Yeah. So, what do you want? And a lot of guys don't realize what they want is confidence, and confidence comes from success. And there's only so many things that people can do. You can earn a living, a comfortable living. You can have a lifestyle attached to that living. You can have a social life, a good one. You can have some kind of like hobby that you enjoy. Maybe you're a writer, maybe you put together small bridges, whatever. There's only so many things you can do. And so the good placeholder goal for what you want, which I'm finding is great for a lot of the lost boys out there. Lost boys, I don't talk about this enough, but it's a term of men who have been raised without male leadership in their lives tend to be lost. They don't, and all the typical markers of adult life just aren't there. Like buying a house is kind of out of the reach of a lot of people now. Getting laid is a lot harder than it used to be for 30% of the men out there. And so there's no parent there to like drive you to want something. The career paths now are all very transitory, the gig economy, all that shit. Guys just don't know what they want anymore, and they don't know to want what they want. It's like that Fight Club line about the biggest war is the war inside of ourselves. You get it? And so these lost boys will attach themselves to these things, and they don't know. And what I've found is probably a good placeholder goal for what do you want? For these men is this. You're going to make a deal with yourself. There is you today, and there is you 12 months from now. You are going to work your ass off, your goddamn ass off. You are going to work your goddamn ass off, and you are going to build abundance, and you are going to build options. You are going to build a fit body, as fit as you can, as healthy as you can, as jacked as you can, as thin as you can. You're going to make as much money as you can, and then you are going to task that guy 12 months from now with one thing. I am going to give you every opportunity that I possibly can, and then you are going to decide who to keep and who to remove from your life to provide as much value for you as possible. You're going to make the hard decisions because I'm not the guy that can do that yet. I can only just put you on a pedestal till you get there. And I find it's a great Oh, it's not an MLD. This is, again, this is more so for you, not so for me. So that you, 12 months from now, after building all these things in your life, and the best part about this is you learn not what you want, but what you don't want. So you're getting notches in that 12 months, right? And then you find out a lot of chicks are crazy. Maybe you're not a big fan of one night stands, and you kind of like, I'd be more inclined for a relationship. Maybe you find that you were in a relationship during that time, and you're like, dude, it's just not for me. I like having sex and having fun too much, and they kind of hold you down, and you just want to be single. So you don't learn so much what you do want, but you learn what you don't want. You find that I love being shredded. Being a hardcore fitness gym rat is so much fun, and I'm hooked on it, and I'm addicted. Maybe you're the guy that's like, I like drinking on the weekends too much, so I don't mind not having a six-pack. Again, you find out what you don't want. You find out what you don't want. Maybe you're like, I love making money. It's like nothing is more fun to me ever, and I will obsess about it incessantly. And you find out that you want to make money, but you find out you don't want to not make money. But then maybe you're one of those guys that's like, dude, I do not like working 80-hour weeks. I do not like devoting my entire life to this. I don't even... The only thing I spend the money on then is alcohol to like rewind and reset so I can earn more money next week. So I'm like, why am I fighting to make all this money when I'm just spending it on ways so I can like be comfortable enough to make money? So maybe you want to make less money. You find out what you don't want. And then at the end of that 12 months, you've got a giant collection of things that you don't want, and you know you don't want them. So while you don't know what you do want, the options of the things that you could want have gotten a lot smaller. And then that guy is in a great position. Maybe it's like you said, like John, maybe he finds out relationships are the way to go. It's like, I kind of like having the one girl around so I can have her here, focus on these other things that I want to work on, and, keep this shit viable. And then that becomes your thing. And so that guy in 12 months ditches all his plates, keeps his best plate, goes on, starts dating one girl monogamously. That's great. Maybe it's the guy who's like, I just want to be a Chad. I just want to sleep around, fool around in the future. I don't need a lot of money. I don't need to own a lot of stuff. I'm just having fun with this for now. And then you go and you do that. But that's the 12-month you making that choice because you actually have the ability to follow through on it, and you know it's what you want. It's not some fucking grifter online talk to you about 6-inch dicks, and now you're like, dude, I'm just going to go out there and dick all day because fucking MGTOW 42069 said that's the way to live, and that's what I'm going to do because a random asshole on the internet said to. And the best part about this is that nobody tells you what to do. Like, you're telling yourself. You've literally developed a mental point of origin. Oh, thank you. Thank you, CSIT. Mental point of origin. Holy shit. We actually got there at the end, huh? Yeah. So that's where you get. Anyways, that's Red Morning for today. We're going to banter for a bit. We'll run it till the end of the hour. I don't think there's a rule 0 today. Everybody's got to run and go do our shit. So if there is one up, it's probably going to be either Paul or John. But I won't be able to make it. I don't think Rolo's be able to make it. And one of the other guys said he was busy too, but I don't know. So we'll pick it up by next week for sure. So this is my life. Watching a 30-year-old man eat chocolate and talk about women. Dude, these things are awesome, man. I don't ever eat these things, and they're fucking delicious. It's that cheap American chocolate, too, that has that puke taste to it because they use the soured milk. Yeah, I'd say it's fun times. I hope you guys got your workouts in. And Billy, technically not talking about women. Most of this conversation involves how much of a piece of shit dudes are. Mostly for women, it's almost kind of like, I don't know, flippant about it. Like, chicks. What are you going to do about it, 30, that's being kind. Aw, Matt, that's adorable. Here, let's ponder this in the tree of woe. It's been a while since I've done that. All right. What else you got for me? What other fucking jabs you want to throw? How many more people can I time out in chat? Yeah, it is. Oh, it's absolutely the worst candy. But that was it as a kid, right? Like, I think I've talked about it before, those Popeye smokes and the city cigarettes. As a kid, used to buy chocolate cigarettes, and they were the cheapest, shittiest chocolate ever. And that's the only chocolate I've ever, like, grown accustomed to, because as a kid, I ate it all the time. So when I eat now, like, the shitty Easter chocolates are the only ones that really do it for me. One of those things, Hershey's, too. They have those mostly in the States, though. We don't really have them in Canada. So I never traveled to the States until I was like 23, 24. But then once I got there, I'm like, oh, I can see this. I was actually kind of amazed. I'm like, how do Americans fit this much chocolate into their shit lockers? And then I noticed about the obesity epidemic in the States. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. Like, you guys really... I think New York was onto something with they're banning their 32-ounce drinks so that you can only max at 20. I'm like, say what you want about like encroachment in your lives and that, but you guys need to get rid of those Starbucks Trenta sizes. We don't have Trentas in Canada. We have Ventis. We're perfectly fine. Even that's too much. You get used to it. Tolbarone, yeah, another good one. Oh, fun fact. Did you know in the States, Smarties and M&Ms are the opposite for us? Because what is it? For Smarties, or is it Britain? But one of you guys, Smarties are chocolate. For us, Smarties are like a candy, and M&Ms are the chocolate. Just one of those neat things. Tucked out one. So much of your banter is useful for novices and new young guys. Aw. There's no red pill community, though, I'll tell you right now. I think the worst lie that people tell you is that there's some kind of community of men. We're not a hive mind. We're not a collective. Every guy on here is an individual. Take from it what you want, but don't think of it as a community, because everybody here will fuck you over and they'll take your lunch. It's not because they don't like you. It's just because that's the way guys are. Guys are inherently selfish. As we should be, because there's a zero-sum game for a lot of guys, or at least that's how they approach things. For me, I'm kind of old. I don't need to flex on you guys. As long as you're giving me views, I'll keep giving you the best content I can, the most value I can, and try to make it as entertaining as I can. Gave X time out, sent to room. She picked an argument. Can you come out? Act like adult. Half hour. Thanks. Needed that. Get counseling and I'm out. Nope. New guy. Holy jeez, cop. You could have done multiple comments, dude, because there's an entire story in there and it's so abbreviated. I think the emojis tell the story. Your anger, or you got angry, you took the pill, you had a steak, oh, red meat, then you're dead, and then you got a puppy. I think that's a wonderful outcome. Should be I offended when a creators objectify him in camera when I pop out in the chat? Torsh, do you really want to play this game with you? Like, I've seen the occasional video of yours, and like, you kind of, how do I put this? The objectification thing? Yeah, it's like, are you surprised? Are you surprised? I can't believe somebody would objectify me. It's like, well, I don't know what to tell you. What you should do, take your camera, tilt it up about 15 degrees. Yeah. I don't know, whatever. Doesn't impress me much. It's not my thing. The only reason I don't just ban girls outright from here is because as long as they're not Kitten Holidays. Actually, you know what? I could end with the Kitten Holiday story. Okay, do you guys know who Kitten Holiday is? Have you guys ever heard of this chick? If not, I hope not. Or if not, I hope so. So Kitten Holiday was a writer in this space that kind of popped around when we were first doing that old Red Man Group podcast with Mr. fucking Anthony Johnson. She apparently was friends with Donovan Sharp's wife. And she was in the chats all the time. And I'm not making an equivalence here at all. It's just story time. Don't take anything from it. Used to be in the chats all the time, feeding everybody's ego, saying how great everybody was. Wine more, please. Holy sweet shit. Thank you for the $2 super chat, sir. Dude, you made me laugh this morning, by the way, with that fucking guy who started acting more trad and the girl was happy having a baby post, because so many guys took that and I'm like, I'm going to click the link and see. Didn't find out he was a cross-dresser till like 3/4 of the way through the post. I'm like, oh, fair enough, sir. I had a feeling I knew who you were talking about too, but I didn't want to out them because it's like the internet and nobody knows who he is until I bring it up. Anyways, so she's telling everybody how great they are, how awesome they are and shit like this. And in the back of my mind, I just keep thinking about the old time Deads and Sushi used to be in the Married Red Pill. And it was like so much fun until it wasn't. As soon as things stopped going her way. And then sure enough, Kitten goes feral. And I call her Kitten Holiday, but it should have been like Cat Holiday. Because she was like 40 years old, single mom, big floppy tit. Like, this very thirst appropriate, you know? And then she was always in Rolo's DMs and in my DMs. Like, you guys need to ditch Donovan. You guys are so much better than this. Just basically trying to like pit every member of the group against the other member of the group because somebody did some stupid shit. The whole point of this story, though, is apparently she's still around, but she's hidden, and she like has a bunch of people she DMs on the side talking about blabbing as if they're besties. But yeah, I'm always very skeptical when there's a girl that wants to be in this space. No offense again to you, Torsia. It's like, this place is unattractive. This place is horrible. It's like a cesspool. And to find a normal sounding girl coming in here, it just automatically makes me suspect of your judgment. I'm like, how cool could you be if you're here? I don't even like it here. Oh, you hate it too. At least we have something in common. All right. Anyways, enjoy yourselves. I think that's it for the morning. You guys have to enjoy yourselves. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the views. Thank you for the time. Thank you very much for the super chats. Again, your support is what makes this all possible. I'm going to do some plugs here. If you want to do this in a more casual level, I actually have the gaming channel, the second one. Digital Ryan. It's a lot of fun. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 12. Come on in, check it out. Like I said, it's me kind of trying to move away from just sitting here preaching into a microphone. I mean, anybody can join Patreon, Torsha. I just don't know what benefit you would get from there. Like, I can't stop anybody. But the whole, and then there is the Patreon. I don't advertise it much as I should because I'm trying to keep growth down right now because it's already taken up much more time than it has allotted to it. But it's a good place. It's literally swapping notes. It's no red meat. It's no celebrity gossip shit. It's literally field reports and breaking them down and bringing up the red-pilled concepts, the red-pilled posts, the red-pilled theories, the red-pill, other people who have had those same experiences, done field reports on them. Yeah. So it all depends what you're looking for. This one, generic, sexual strategy. You're already in here. You know what you're expecting. The Digital Ryan stuff is a more fun, playful, lighthearted version of that. And the Patreon stuff is a much more serious, dour, and boring version of that has much more effect. So it's good. Ryan's soon going to have a 3-hour Patreon like a Rolo stream. Dude, I'm actively trying to avoid the 3-hour Patreon. Like, after 2 hours of speaking into a microphone, it starts to wear me down. Oh, nobody can rule. Dude, how do you ruin Digital Ryan? It's us fucking around with zombies. Like, I made today's one, or yesterday's one, I made Coach Red Pill in Project Zomboid and have him try to fight his way out of the zombie apocalypse. Needless to say, he didn't make it 3 days. He actually did die by Ukrainian forces, so I'll say that. Was it 3 hours? God damn it. Yeah. Like I said, it's just fun stuff. Entertaining the audience, and a lot of the times you guys kind of like it because a lot of the things I'm learning as I go. Like, I did a Cuphead series for a while there too, and I've never played Cuphead before. Oh, Tekken? Yeah, the problem with Tekken, I can't engage you guys as the audience, though. That's the problem. I'm finding out that, like, streaming's harder than it looks. You got to pick, when you pick a game, it has to be a game that you somewhat enjoy, otherwise you're going to hate it. No. But, I mean, why more please? He's not the same guy, but he might as well be. Like, the same issues that Dave had is the exact same issues that Mr. Gonzalez has. Oh, Dante remembers too. But yeah, they're functionally the same thing. I got nothing else. I think the dog's going to lose his shit. Sounds like a dog's next door losing his mind. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. I have not played Elden Ring yet. I probably will. I'm trying to set up right now. I have like a Discord channel where I'm talking to other guys. Like, I've gotten a few new guys to start doing their content. The Mish has started up a channel. Dave Andrus has started up a channel. And I think I might even get Marty on it at some point. So we're going to have, we have something set up for collabs. So we can actually have like a bunch more content creators, get Rob and them, like another Among Us thing. I think those were kind of fun. But it was nice just to give guys examples of just like hanging out with guys and having fun and not being a spurg about it, you know? Oh, Discord, it's like AIM Instant Messenger. It's a pain in the ass. Anyways, I'm going to let you guys go. I've been running my mouth a little long. We're ahead of time, 3-4 minutes now. And I'll catch you guys later. So enjoy yourselves. Don't forget the links. Check it out. Don't forget the merch. End of the month. Use the T-Rex final code. I should have made that a pinned comment. I didn't, so I'll add that to the thing here. I'll check you guys later.